I've been horse crazy since I was 9 years old. Some of my best memories were going to the wild horse and burro corrals to look at all the Mustangs. One trip that really sticks with me happened when I was 13 years old. We went to the Burns, Oregon BLM Mustang Corral and took a tour. The lady who gave us the tour led us into the pens with the 2- and 3-year-old fillies, which I don't think they typically do. For a horse-crazy teenager, it was a dream come true. One Mustang even came up to me and ate out of my hand. These horses were wild and had been rounded up the previous fall, but I felt a connection with that little Mustang. I lovingly named her Star because of the white star on her forehead. That moment left a huge impression on me. It showed me that these horses weren't just wild and crazy, that they could make amazing partners. My dad and I went to the office and asked about the little gray filly. She was available for adoption, but the BLM has rules about the facilities you need, and we didn't meet the requirements. We couldn't adopt her, and I never saw her again. I made a promise to myself that someday I would adopt a Mustang. Over the years, I've thought about that little gray horse a lot. I still wonder why she came up to me that day in the pen. I had this feeling that we would have been an incredible team. That memory has only made me want a Mustang more as I've gotten older. It's been 21 years since that trip, and I still haven't adopted a wild horse. But now more than ever, I've been thinking about it. Maybe it's because I have some newer friends who own some amazing Mustangs. Or maybe it's because I'm getting older and want to do this while I still can. Or maybe it's because YouTube has become an avenue that might give us more free time to chase our dreams. Whatever it is, I can't get adopting a Mustang out of my head. There's an online auction event coming up, and I've been looking forward to seeing what horses are available. There will be at least a couple hundred posted, and I'm hoping that I'll get the same feeling from one of them that I did from that little gray horse. I already sent in my application to adopt a Mustang. The process involves answering questions about your facilities, your trailer, and the care you provide for your horses. This time when we were building our equine facilities, I thought ahead and I made sure to order 6-foot panels so that I would qualify to adopt a Mustang. It took a couple of weeks for my application to process, but in the end I was approved. Actually, I'm approved for 2 Mustangs if I want them. For those who don't know what a Mustang is or how the management works, let me give you a quick overview. A Mustang is a feral horse that still runs wild here in America. The Bureau of Land Management, or BLM, manages these horses. It can be a complex and often controversial task. The Wild Free Roaming Horses and Burros Act of 1971 protects these animals, ensuring they can roam public lands freely. However, population and limited resources create significant challenges. There are an estimated 86,000 wild horses and burros on BLM managed lands, more than 3 times what the land can sustainably support. To prevent overgrazing and protect ecosystems, the BLM gathers and relocates excess horses to off-range holding facilities. Currently, over 50,000 horses live in these facilities, where they receive food, water, and care, but the solution is costly and without controversy. One way to help is through adoption. The BLM offers wild horses and burros to qualified adopters for as little as $125. For those who care for their horse for a year, an incentive program offers up to $1,000 back to the adopter. Although the BLM adoption process isn't quite as straightforward as one might think. Today we're going to be looking at horses from all different holding facilities, and these horses are all going to be put on an online auction. So there is 3 main ways that you can adopt a horse. That would be in person, paying the $125 at a holding facility, or an in-person auction event where you would be bidding on those horses, or an online auction event, which is what we're going to be doing today. I'm not sure how many horses are on this online auction, but there are a lot. So I have sifted through a bunch of them and found some that I like. Most of these horses that I'm going to be looking at are either in Bruno, Idaho, or Wheatland, Wyoming. These 2 pickup locations are pretty close to me. Wheatland is a bit of a drive, but I would be willing to drive that far for the right Mustang. Bruno is a lot closer, and these horses, because they're in Bruno and it's a private facility, they will be available for pickup in Boise. I called ahead to see if we could go see these horses in person, the ones that were in Bruno and going to be on the online auction. However, the lady that I talked to said no, because Bruno is a private holding facility. Her answer was a little bit unfriendly, but overall, no one is allowed to step foot on that facility. I can understand to a certain degree because it is a private facility, meaning it's private property and you don't want people just popping in. But it is really hard to make a choice on these Mustangs without seeing them in person, and that's just what you're expected to do if you're going to be bidding on an online auction. Just to learn more, I went ahead and called multiple holding facilities. As of right now, which it's mid-January, there were no horses available for adoption, or very, very limited horses available for adoption at all these facilities, which I'm a little confused by, because if there's 50,000 horses in holding facilities somewhere, I don't understand where those horses are and why you can't go adopt them right now. I wasn't really able to get a straight answer on that talking to the people at the BLM, and I still don't fully understand the system. Even though I do think the BLM system could probably be a little more efficient, there are some hangups for sure and a lot of moving parts when it comes to these horses. I know part of the reason that they're not super friendly is because they do have activists calling them and complaining a lot of the times, especially during the season where roundups are more often. I have seen firsthand what it's like if these horses are not managed properly and they are left to overpopulate. It is pretty sad to see the effects of that once they start running out of feed and water. So these horse populations definitely need to be managed, and the BLM does have their hands tied as far as how to manage these horses efficiently without causing too much of an uproar with certain communities. And they do a good job of feeding these horses in the holding pens. Most of them are super fat and healthy and don't have any problems. Sometimes there are Mustangs that are in their 20s in these holding facilities and they look amazing. That all being said, it is a very convoluted system, and I'm sure there's a lot of moving parts, but it's pretty hard to understand how it all works, and every facility seems to be different. For me to just go and walk in and purchase a Mustang seems like it is not really possible, at least this time of year. It was a little bit disappointing as well because we wanted to make a trip over to Burns and look at some of the Mustangs that were rounded up this past fall, but unfortunately we won't be able to do that until later in the spring when they come available. There's literally hundreds of pages on this online auction, and I am pretty excited to start looking through all the horses on here. I'm going to mark which facilities I want to pick up my horses at, or which ones they are currently at is what this is. That will narrow it down so that I know where they're at and they're not too far away for me to go get. I am going to start looking at the horses that just catch my eye, but like this guy, he's only 14.2, which is just too short for me. I am pretty tall and I like my horses to be big, so 15 hands plus would be a great start, but I'll even consider 14.3. I like to watch these videos and get a feel for how the horses react in the pens. Like you can see, this guy is a little bit fractious and he's running around more than I would like to see him doing. It's always nice when they seem a little bit calmer in these pens and you can get an idea for their demeanor. Wheatland does a great job of videoing because they have two different camera angles, and it makes it so much better to see how these horses react, and it's really awesome. They do a great job in Wheatland, and I really appreciate their double camera angles and multiple videos per horse. I am not really interested in that one, so I'm going to keep looking at what they have here on their online auction. I'm going to put in height because there's still a lot of horses to pick through, and I don't want anything shorter than 14.3 hands. And for the max, I'm just going to do 16.2. There are a lot of horses to choose from, but this should narrow it down. I am 6 feet tall, so I really like a big horse. The ones that are shorter than 14.3, I just kind of feel like my feet might drag the ground. This little 4-year-old roan female really caught my eye. Roans are one of my favorite color. I like how she's just kind of trotting around. She seems fairly chill compared to that last horse that we just looked at. And she is definitely cute. I like that she's only 4 years old too. She is 15-1, which I really like. She's from Divide Basin, Wyoming. And she was rounded up in 2021, which means she was rounded up as a yearling. This auction has already started, so this one already has a bid on her. One thing I like about the online corral is you can save horses to your favorites page, and so I've gone through some and saved my favorites. This little girl with the frosted off ear tips is absolutely adorable. She is so freaking cute. She's built pretty nice, and I do really like her. She's one of them I really wanted to see in person in Bruno because I can't quite get a feel for how big she is in these pictures, but I feel like she might be too small for me, which is unfortunate. I like her video how she's just kind of cruising around, she's checking everything out. She's definitely a little bit worried, which is to be expected. It is very, very windy there this day too. If I could turn the volume up, you guys would be able to hear all the wind blowing these tarps. So it's pretty scary in there for them. But she's kind of taking everything in and just sort of trotting around. And I like how she keeps putting her head down and just like checking things out. There's already a bid on her, which is good to see. She's only 14.3 and I just don't think she's quite big enough for me. So I don't think I will bid on this girl. She has been in a holding facility for only a year or two, which is pretty nice. We are going to go to another one of my favorites, which is this dun gelding right here. He's only 6 years old and he is really a good looking horse. He's big and stout. They're calling him a dun. I don't see a line down his back, but he's kind of a Palomino type color with some black on his lower legs. He is a pretty good looking boy and I do really like him. I love that big old blaze and his little half and half nose. He seems pretty chill in the pen. He's just kind of taking it all in. If the volume was up, he is snorting just a little bit, but I do like how he's acting. He's just kind of slowly trotting around. His movements aren't too awfully quick or crazy. And right there, someone came in with a flag, so I don't blame him for jumping like that. They kind of spooked him out of nowhere. But overall, he's pretty chill for a wild horse in a new environment by himself. He is already up to $715 and has already got 17 bids on him. He is 15.3 hands, which is a great size for me, but being $715 already, I don't think I'll probably place a bid on him, at least not yet. We are going to move on to the horse that I would really, really like to bid on out of this whole entire online auction. He is a 9-year-old gelding, but he is already over $1,000 and this auction just started. I have a max bid of around $2,000, so unfortunately he is already creeping up there. His height is 15.1, which is a great size, and man is he built. He is such a nice looking Mustang. I'm going to try to put in $1,200 on this horse and see if I can outbid the proxy bidder. So how this bidding works is someone can put in a set price and the bid will only go up by $5. But in this case, you can see another bidder's proxy went up above mine. So someone had probably put in a bid for maybe $1,300 or $1,250. Who knows what it is? The only way you can figure it out is to bid more money on this horse. I'm going to try $1,300 and see if I can outbid that proxy bidder. So you can see that their proxy bid must have been set at $1,200 because now I'm winning at $1,205. We are currently the top bidders on this animal. What will happen is the next person could come in and bid $1,210, and then my proxy bid would jump in at $1,215, and so on and so forth until my max of $1,300 has been met and outbid. So it's sort of like a silent auction in a way. It is crazy that people are already bidding this horse up so high because we do have almost 7 days left in this auction. So I am really curious to see what this horse is going to go for, if people are just going to quit bidding on him after he reaches a certain amount, or if he's going to go for a crazy price. I can't really go much higher than $2,000 on this untamed, untouched Mustang, so I will be curious to see what he actually goes for, but we're going to do our best to buy him and bring him home. I really can't get over how pretty this horse is. Not only is his sooty palomino color just extremely striking, but he is built really nice. He has a nice big feet, he's got big bones, He is built super nice, and I really like his demeanor as he's going around in the corral. He is a little bit snorty, as you can hear, but you can also hear how darn windy it is, and those tarps are just blowing like crazy. They are also shaking little like cattle paddles and flags at him to try to get him to move around so we can see him. But what a mover. This guy is really, really nice. I like his little turns. I like his action as he's trotting. He seems like he has good straight legs and he's not paddling or anything. And even though he is a little more amped than some of the other horses, he really moves around nice, and he seems like he's not just losing his mind. He is 15-1, which I absolutely love, and yeah, he's pretty much my dream Mustang. We are still winning his bid, which is really exciting. I kind of thought maybe someone would step in and outbid me right away, but as of right now, we are taking this guy home, which is crazy to think about, having him out in a corral at our place. He is absolutely gorgeous, which means he will probably go for a lot of money. We're going to move on and look at one of my other favorite Mustangs. This is a little gray 4-year-old mare. I say little, but she's 15-1 already as a 4-year-old, which is pretty awesome. She does already have a couple bids on her, and she is pretty darn cute. I love her little gray color. She'll probably turn whiter as she gets older, but I really like her build. This little girl is from a place called Adobe Town. That's the HMA that she is from, which is herd management area. And when Jason was working at a wild horse sanctuary in South Dakota, some of his favorite horses were these Adobe Town Mustangs. They have pretty good minds and usually are pretty darn big. I like how she is fairly chill. She's kind of going back and forth, and she even goes in between the fence and this guy a couple times, which is a great sign. She was only out in the wild for about a year before she got rounded up, so she has been in holding for about 3 years at this point. But she seems pretty cool. I like her sweet little face. The only thing I don't like about her is I feel like her stifles are a little bit loose and wobbly. This could partially be because she is only a 4-year-old and she is a very big girl, and she'll probably outgrow that. But Clyde, my mule, has some weak stifles, and I don't really want another equine with that issue. It causes him a little bit of problems going downhill at times if I don't keep him legged up. So I am not super keen on that. Because of that, I don't think my bid is going to be super high on this little girl, even though I really, really like her. I love her little prance around here and that she's checking this guy out. She has no problem going towards him, and like I said, she even goes between him and the fence a couple times, which is a pretty good sign. She's not doing it like out of control either. She's just kind of maintaining speed and going through there very carefully. She's not just like blasting by him. So I do like that. All of this points to a horse that probably is going to have a pretty good mindset and be fairly easy to gentle. I did just get a notification on my phone that we have been outbid on this guy. So I'm going to go see what the max bid is now. It looks like someone outbid me by $5. My max bid was set at $1,300 and now the bid is at $1,305. I don't know how high this person's proxy is. They could have put in $1,500 and it would have automatically outbid me. But I can decide now if I want to go higher or if I want to wait and think about it for a little while. He is so pretty and I would love to bring him home. He is seriously one of the best looking Mustangs I have seen on here on the online auction since I have started looking. There was a little sorrel mare a couple years ago that I really fell in love with, but she went for $5,000 for just a plain sorrel. I still can't figure that out. She's one of the black horses at the top. I kind of just keep their profiles as remembrance of them. Here's another gelding I really like. While I'm thinking about the Palomino, and if I want to bid on him again, we will look at a few more of my favorite horses. This guy is a really pretty roan and I like him a lot. He's really cool looking. He's built super nice. He's 15 hands and I just really like how stocky he is. However, in his video, he is a little bit more crazy than the other horses. He's a little bit more worried and jumpy and seems to be pretty high-headed. He's also extremely sweaty, so I think he might have a tendency to be a little bit more of a worrier than the other horses are. I don't really like how stiff he is moving around. It's like he's pretty shut down and worried about stuff, and it just seems like he might be a little bit harder to calm down than some of the others. He is not being crazy or running into the panels by any means, so he'll probably come around pretty quick, but he definitely is just a little more anxious than some of the other ones. My other favorite horse of this whole auction is this little buckskin mare. She is so freaking cute. She is 7 years old and she is 14 3-hands, but she seems pretty darn stocky, and I do really like her. She is so darn cute and she's built really nice, but my friend really wants to bid on this mare, and so I am not going to bid on her just so I don't outbid my friend. That seems pretty pointless. And since I am trying to get this Palomino gelding, then I am going to just hope that my friend can buy this horse. She is so calm in her little video here. She doesn't even break into a trot. She just walks around. I like that she's paying attention to the people. They are clucking and kissing at her, and she really could care less. She's just taking it all in and sniffing around, checking things out, and she really doesn't seem like she cares that much. A lot of these Mustangs will just be running around like crazy, bouncing off the panels, and she is not like that at all. She is pretty darn chill. I really like that. I think she has a great mindset and would be nice to work with. Another one that my friend is looking at is this Grula gelding. He's a really cute little Grula. He's 8 years old. He is built really nice and also pretty darn stocky. I think he's 14.3 if I remember right. It looks like he's already got a couple bids on him, and I'm hoping his price stays low so that my friend can purchase him. He is really cute. He is a little bit more scared in his video. He's definitely trotting around a little bit more than some of the other horses, but she is really good with her horses, and I know she would have him tamed down in no time. He is really not being crazy at all. He just has a little bit more fear than some of the others and a little bit more quicker movements, but he is a really cute gelding, and I do really like this horse. One of the other horses I have saved to my favorites is this little Appy colt. He's only 3 years old and he's only 14 hands tall, but how cute is he? He is adorable and he reminds me so much of Josie. They would just be the cutest friends. I don't love the way he moves. He's pretty stiff in his back end. He's also a little bit more fractious than some of the other horses, but he is pretty darn cute as far as his markings go. I just want to take him home and like give him a hug or something. He seems like he needs it, but I think he would be such a cute little pair with Josie, our Appy mule. He is definitely not one I will be bidding on. He's too small for me, but he is pretty darn adorable. Most Appies do not have a mane or a tail, and he is no exception. His little mane looks more like a mohawk than a mane, and his little tail is definitely thin, just like Josie's is. I am really thinking about bidding on this little gray horse since we are outbid from the Palomino. She is really cute, and I do like her, even though her stifles seem maybe a little bit loose. I think she should outgrow that as she gets older. She is pretty young still, and for being such a big girl, sometimes they take a little bit longer to mature. I do really like the way that she's moving around in the corral and how she's interacting with that guy that's standing by the gates right now. And the fact that she goes in between him and the panels is pretty cool. I like how she's checking him out and looking at him. She's not really avoiding him, but she's also not just pushing past his space and like blowing through him. I've seen horses try to jump out of these panels at times, and she's definitely not even thinking about doing that. She is in Wheatland, Wyoming, which is a bit more of a drive for me, but I wouldn't mind driving over there for this girl. I think I'm going to go ahead and try to put a bid in. My max for her is not near what it's going to be for that Palomino, but I could definitely spend $200 on this cute girl. Unfortunately, it looks like someone's proxy is over $200, so I will have to bid higher. It looks like I was in fact outbid by the proxy, and that means that they might have it set for maybe like $250, maybe even $225. I'm going to try $210 and just see if I can outbid them. And that looks like it worked. So their proxy must have been set at probably $205, which is pretty awesome. We are currently winning this girl for $210, which would be a steal of a deal for this cute little girl, and I would totally scoop her up for that. I'm pretty excited. Every time I am winning a horse, I am pretty pumped up and definitely has some adrenaline going. I am dreading the email that I'm going to receive saying I have been outbid on one of these horses. So hopefully that just doesn't happen and we are able to bring this girl home with us. I am not going to do any more bidding for now since I'm winning this girl already. So I am going to come back and check on these horses later and see what they're going for. Hopefully we will be winning this girl for the whole entire rest of the auction. I feel like bidding so early in the auction is probably not a good call, but I only have so much to spend, and since they are almost at the max that I want to spend on these horses, I figure I might as well bid and just hope that it sticks. Well, it is a couple hours later, and unfortunately we were outbid on this little gray girl. Someone bid $215, which bumped out my $210 bid. So that is a little bit disappointing, and I will have to think if I want to bid on her any further. It's so early in the auction that I will probably just sit on my hands for a while and not put in any more bids. I'll come back and check on all these horses here in a couple of days and see how everything's going. It is a few days later and we are back to look at these horses. This Palomino gelding that I absolutely love is quite a bit more expensive now. I have been thinking about him nonstop, and Jason and I have talked quite a few times about what we would want to spend on this guy. Our max is $2,000, so he is almost there already. I wouldn't typically bid up a horse like this so early on in the auction. There is only 2 days remaining, but he is almost to my max, and we figure if we can get him for our max, it is meant to be. And if he goes over, then I guess it is not meant to be. Sometimes these horses, a person will bid a high number and then they will back out at the end of the auction, and the person with the second highest bid is the one that gets first dibs at it if that happens. So I would like to be the second highest bidder if possible. I am trying to outbid this person's proxy. I don't know what they have it saved as, but so far I am not able to outbid it. We are still not winning, and I'm up to $1,845. So I'm going to try $1,850 and see if that will outbid the proxy. It looks like I'm still outbid, and I'm guessing they have this proxy set at $2,000, which would be a bummer because that is around my max. We could go over that, but it's hard for me to spend over $2,000 on a horse that has never been touched. And although he is absolutely beautiful, there could be a horse just like him standing in one of the holding facilities that might be able to be adopted for $125. So it's a little bit hard for me to comprehend spending so much on this horse. At the same time, he is absolutely gorgeous, and there are quarter horses selling like him for well over $2,000. So part of me doesn't really care that he has never been handled. I feel like I'll be able to get through to him and work with him and build a good partnership with him, and he will be an absolutely amazing horse that is also extremely beautiful. I am now bidding $1,930 since I was just outbid at $1,920. The bid is now at $1,925. I am still trying to outbid this proxy bid, and I can't figure out where the heck they have it maxed at. I'm guessing it's around $2,000. I always like to double check my numbers just to make sure I am not bidding some high crazy number like $19,300. There are ways you can remove that high bid if you were to make a mistake like that, but I like to just try and double check my numbers before I enter them. I am really trying to figure out if I want to keep bidding on this horse because there are 2 days left. I am not going to be able to win this horse unless I can outbid that proxy, but there is a chance that I outbid the proxy and someone else swoops in and outbids me. As of right now, I think I'm going to leave well enough alone and just watch this number and see how high it gets. I'm going to talk to Jason again and just see what our max actually is. I would really like to bring this horse home, but like I said, I just can't imagine spending too much more than $2,000 on an unhandled Mustang, even one as pretty as him, when there could be another one that I really like standing in a holding facility that I could scoop up for only $125. This is that little mare that my friend really likes, and I like to keep an eye on her too. She is now over $1,000. She is pretty darn cute, and if my friend wasn't looking at her, I would bid on her in a heartbeat last minute. This is Jason's favorite horse, and honestly, I think I like her almost as much as that Palomino gelding. I'm going to come back later and check on these horses again and see how much the price has changed. My dun gelding is over $1,800 and that Appy colt is now over $1,000. So a lot of the horses that I picked as my favorites are going to go for a lot of money. Maybe I just have good taste. It is the next morning and we are back to check on this Palomino gelding. His price is now up to $2,500. One thing to note is the only pickup location near me is Boise, Idaho, and I couldn't pick him up until March 14th through 15th because the BLM is going to need time to sort them out and get him moved from Bruno to Boise. It looks like the proxy bid was set at $2,000, but someone has outbid that proxy bid. So that means if I bid $2,010, I will be winning this horse. I am going to bid $2,020 just to be a little bit safe, and we are winning him. It is always so exciting to see that little green bar around the top. It makes me want to celebrate, but I know it might be short-lived. We have 2 days and 7 hours left, and he could go for a lot more than $2,000 in that time frame. I know I bid a little bit over what my max was, but he is a really cool horse and I will gladly pay $20 extra if I can bring him home. It is a lot of money for an untouched Mustang, but he is such a cool guy, and even if it's only for a short time, I am really loving thinking he is my horse and that I might get to bring him home. Jason has been really supportive about the Mustang thing lately, and he is even really excited to adopt one day. He thinks it would be so cool if we could both train one at the same time. We have talked about adopting multiple Mustangs and doing different things with them, but as of right now, we really only have room for one, and even that is going to be tight with where we're living. We'll have to put up a quarantine pen somewhere over on the other side of the property because we do have Mesa and she is just a baby. The last thing we want is for Mesa to get sick with anything that this Mustang might be carrying from being around so many other horses in the holding facilities. He is such a pretty horse, and I am just imagining now starting to work with him. In my head, he is already here and we are already working with him in our round pen. But I know that I can't get too darn excited because it's just going to lead to a lot more sadness if I do get outbid on this horse. I am kind of surprised that I haven't already got outbid, to tell you the truth, and there is a little glimmer of hope that maybe the bid will stick and no one else will bid any higher on him. It really is just the luck of the draw and who is here and who is also interested in this horse, but as of right now, we are winning this horse with 2 days and 7 hours to go. I am not going to be able to sleep tonight if we are still winning him by this evening. I am so excited right now. My proxy is set to $2,020, which means if someone bids $2,015, that proxy will outbid them by another $5. So I have one more chance to outbid someone before I'll have to manually come back in and bid more money. I am really hoping that just no one else bids on this horse and we can bring him home for around $2,000. That would absolutely be amazing. Well, some things are too good to be true. I went out and worked the afternoon and came back in for lunch, and this guy had been bid up to $6,505 within an hour and a half. It is now almost the end of this auction. We only have about 23 hours left, and I can't spend that much money on this Mustang, unfortunately. $2,000 was about my limit, and he is well over that now. You can see my last bid was $2,020, and he is nowhere close to that number. So I'm going to keep an eye on him and keep thinking on him, but it's hard for me to justify spending that much money on a Mustang when you could get a really nice horse with a good foundation on it for about that price. It is finally the last day of this auction, and we only have about 20 minutes left in this. I just got off the phone with my friend, and she is going to try and adopt this little buckskin mare, which I am so excited about because she is one of our favorites, and her purchasing her would almost feel like we won the bid as well. So I am really keeping an eye on her. We only have 14 minutes left, and I am so hopeful that my friend can outbid everyone on this little mare and bring her home. This Palomino gelding is still at $6,505, which is pretty crazy. This Grilla gelding that my friend is also thinking about is still at $405. This little Appy colt has gone over $2,000 now. My gray that I really liked is at $505, and this buckskin mare that my friend is really interested in is $1,055. I'm really hopeful that she can get her for less than her $1,500 that she's wanting to spend on her. This gelding is so pretty. I am still really bummed that I am not able to bring him home, and part of me wants to bid on him again, even though he is so darn expensive. There could be a proxy bid on him still, so I would have to go pretty darn high, like $7,000. We could try it and just see what happens. I'm just double checking that I'm not bidding $70,000, and just kidding. There's no way I can bid $7,000 on this horse. Maybe if we get more YouTube views, I can justify spending that much money on a horse like this, but for right now, I just can't spend more than $2,000 on an untouched Mustang. As much as I would love to bid $7,000, it's just not realistic for us right now. We are trying to save a down payment for a bigger property. We are also trying to cash flow some updates to this house that we currently have, so that way we can sell it and use that money also towards a larger property. There is a property we have in mind, and they did just lower the price on it. So we're feeling a little bit crunched for time because we know that property probably won't last that long. If we were able to get that property, we would have enough pasture and hay for a lot more equines. So at that point, we would definitely be getting Mustangs, and we might even consider rescuing a couple mules from the kill pen and trying to rehab them or doing something along those lines. So we are really excited. But for now, we can still keep an eye on this buckskin girl. My friend is going to try to bid on her, and I am starting to get really nervous. Even though I'm not the one bidding, I feel like I am, and my heart is literally racing out of my chest right now. I am going to just keep refreshing it. We only have 10 minutes left. Her plan was to bid at about 5 minutes remaining, so I am just going to keep refreshing this page and keep checking. We are now at 8 minutes and 50 seconds, and there's still no bid coming in. I am a little bit worried that my friend might have changed her mind and she's not going to bring this mare home. She is definitely starting to make me nervous. I know her plan wasn't to bid on this mare until 5 minutes from the end of the auction, but she is such a nice mare, and I am really hopeful that she can bring her home with her. If my friend wasn't going to be bidding on this mare, it would be really tempting for me to bid on this mare. I am nervously refreshing this page over and over, and finally $1,200, which is exactly what my friend said she was going to bid on her. So I am pretty darn certain that this is my friend bidding on this mare. But now it says $1,205, which means she's been outbid, and there is not much time left. Taking a closer look at this proxy bid, it looks like the proxy was also $1,200, and I'm sure that that's my friend that's bidding $1,205. I am seriously so nervous. There is not much time left and she could be outbid. I am so hopeful that she put a large proxy bid down, so that way if she is outbid, that her price will bump up as well and she'll outbid the next bidder. There is 10 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. She said that she would text me immediately after, and I can't even stand it. I'm gonna send her a text. I can't believe that my friend actually won this horse. I am so excited for her. As of right now, my plan is to go with her on March 14th or 15th and go pick up this mare. I'm going to take my camera along and take lots of photos and videos for my friend. She is hoping to document the process of training this mare. She is currently working on editing a documentary that she has made about some of her other Mustangs, and I cannot wait to see it once that is all finished up and posted somewhere. I will link where you guys can watch that once that thing is out to the public. If she's okay with it, I will bring you guys along when we go pick up this mare, so don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss that. Even though we didn't end up with a Mustang, it still feels like we won because my friend ended up with this mare, and she is going to be super, super nice. I cannot wait to see what she does with her. We will get a Mustang sometime, and to tell you the truth, right now probably wasn't the best timing anyways, so I guess it was meant to be. But we will definitely get a Mustang in the future, and I cannot wait for the day that we do.